Well, as far as summons go, um, we have the skeleton mages, which come in a couple of different configurations. So you have your skills up here that you can choose from, and then you have your runes to augment those skills. Like if I was to use Bone Spear, it would have its own runes. Skeleton Mage has its own runes. Um, Skeleton Mage, you have just your basic Skeleton Mage, and then you have Skeleton Mage with a Gift of Death, where they will leave a corpse behind if they die or expire, which kind of helps, might help a build like mine, but not as much as Singularity does. Contamination actually causes the skeleton mages to never move, and instead they just blast the ground with a poison cloud. Um, Skeleton archers are what I was using earlier, and skeletal archers are good for sustaining, or rather sustainable damage. Right? You can pop out a lot of them for a relatively low cost, um, and they do more consistent damage, whereas the skeleton mages with singularity, which is what I'm using right now, um, they consume all of my essence when I pop them out for much larger burst damage. Now, we have command skeleton, which are the sword skeletons that I'm using. As long as I have command skeleton on my action bar, it will automatically summon skeletons for me, up to 7 of them. It's what I have chosen for the rune that makes the difference. Enforcer reduces the essence cost of the command skeleton active ability, which is where they zoom in onto one target. It reduces that cost to 25 essence, a relatively low cost. Frenzy causes them to increase their attack speed while they attack targets by 25%. So the longer that they're attacking, the faster their attacks become. Dark Mending allows them to heal me, which is pretty important because my devour cannibalize ability, or rather my simulacrum ability, which is what's causing me to lose health when you see me after the rift is over and I'm still losing health. That's because my simulacrum is currently causing me to lose 5% of my health per second when I use it. So having the command skeletons heal me negates some of the simulacrum damaging me, and they balance each other out. There's also a command golem, and I'll actually show you what that looks like right now. That dude right there is the golem. Hold on.
Mic off. Mic on.
The golem, he's another one of those burst damage kind of things, but most of the time when I tell him to attack something, he does this leap onto whatever it is, kind of like how the skeleton does. But he does the leap and explodes into a shower of corpses, and then those corpses can help me regenerate my essence and stuff. There are other forms of the the golem, like the bone golem. Looks a little bit different, and the bone golem basically, when I command him to attack something, he turns into a tornado of bone and like sucks enemies into it, to the area that I targeted, stuns them for 2 seconds, and deals 2,000% weapon damage over that duration of time, the amount of time that it takes for him to show up. So if I was to kind of see how that happens, but then he has a cooldown. So because he's bigger, he does more damage and whatnot. He has a bit more of a cooldown. But even while he's on cooldown, he'll still be attacking things on his own. And I actually have to wait for that cooldown to end before I can swap it. One of the other things, one of the other builds that I used to use quite a bit was a bone armor build, and that was more for speed running, even more so than this. Because yeah, I would walk around with this tornado of bones surrounding me, that absorbs damage for me while damaging everything else around me. And I usually couple that with something called Corpse Lance, which takes like the bones out of the corpses of the enemies that I've killed, and like throws the bones at other people like spears. Now there's this is another summon ability here, the revive, but it requires corpses. So if I was to use revive and I just killed a bunch of guys, revive would raise 10 corpses within 20 yards of me for 19 seconds. And of course they have their own runes. I have never actually used revive. Not once. I have used Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead is a huge cooldown ability. It's like an ultimate ability. Just like Land of the Dead is kind of an ultimate ability. And Army of the Dead, it summons exactly that. An army of skeletons or undead or whatever.
Mic off. Mic on.
And they attack things for the duration of the ability and then go away. That's it. But when they do pop up, they do a shit ton of damage. Let's see here. There's also something called Bone Spirit. I have used abilities that, I have used the build that used Bone Spirit. It's interesting because it's a ghost. Kind of like the upper half of a skeleton, just kind of floating around and damaging shit. And it seeks out enemies on its own, so you don't have to send it out. It just automatically goes out and kills things. But you have to have charges to be able to use it. So as the text state there, you gain a charge every 15 seconds and can store up to 3 of them. Okay, now that's the thing about Diablo. Everything is supposed to be balanced, but there are specific builds that are considered part of the meta, or meta, however you want to say it. There's a website called Icy Veins that has a pretty good description of what the meta is looking like. But as far as the current status of that meta, the build that I'm working towards is a support build. It does 0 damage. I'm just there to support other people. and it's actually considered a top tier build. Well, but that's the thing. It's not. I don't want to say that it's useless. It's more correct to say that I've never used the builds that use that ability. Right? It's probably better for leveling, has been my impression. And I'm pretty certain that there are builds out there somewhere that make great use of that ability. I just don't. I don't use it. And the main reason why I don't use it is because I've always ended up using other abilities that use corpses, and I don't want to take corpses away from those abilities. Like, I never want to take corpses away from Corpse Lance. I never want to take corpses away from Devour. There are so many other abilities that use corpses that I would much rather have. Especially when I'm already using skeletons. I'm already using skeleton mages. I'm already using a golem. You know, when I have other summons there, there's no reason to have yet an additional summon. If that makes sense. So yeah, in that regard, revive is useless.
Mic off. Mic on.
There's that bone armor that I was talking about. I'm trying to think if there are any other abilities that are technically summons. And the answer is no. No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the summons. Okay, so. But I've also always been a player that I've always liked classes that use summons. Right, I like the Necromancer. I like the Witch Doctor. I like the Demon Hunter with the pets, with the pet build, because there is a Demon Hunter pet build. By the grace of the... It just happens to meet my my playstyle. Right now I'm farming these multiple boss fights because I need to make a couple of items for my my Demon Hunter character. That's the reason why I'm going through this.
May the gods who have
It's a shame. Okay, dump these in here. I should probably remake, which means make a new game. Not a new character, just a new game. And do that one more time. First off, let's see here. Through there.
No. That is not possible.
Alright, you want to see what revive looks like? Let's see here. What do we want? We want... We'll use that. Let's see if this is viable.
Prove yourself worthy of your daughter.
Hey, Roar. I mean, technically, I guess it's viable.
That is not possible.
I mean, but this is like the equivalent. I mean, it's working. I get my corpses back because of the rune that I chose, so I can still eat them for essence if I needed them. actually doing pretty well, and this build ain't even designed for it. It's interesting. I can't really say it's useless. I mean, that was interesting. It worked. But this is an easier, an easier rift too. The real test would be a greater rift.